1 month before voters head to the polls in Turkey, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has kicked off his election campaign with a rally in Ankara. Speaking in front of 40,000 supporters, Erdogan pledged to rein in inflation and boost economic growth. Rampant inflation has eroded support for the president and his AK party, who are facing their toughest challenge since coming to power in 2002. Turkey is also still recovering from a massive earthquakes in February that claimed thousands of lives and cost billions. Now, earlier I spoke to DW Turkey correspondent Julia Han in Istanbul, and I asked her what we can expect from next month's elections.
Well, there will be a parliamentary and a presidential vote, and these elections are considered to be the most consequential ones in recent history here in Turkey. More than 60 million people are eligible to vote, and they will decide whether to keep the current government, which has been in power for more than 2 decades, or opt instead for a change of leadership in Ankara. For President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, as you mentioned, this is going to be the toughest challenge of his political career. He's been trailing in opinion polls, mostly because of the ongoing economic crisis here in the country. And his critics, the opposition, are accusing him of having led Turkey into authoritarianism by extending his grip on state institutions, controlling the judiciary, jailing political foes, and silencing critical media. So the May elections here in Turkey will not only determine whether Erdogan and his Islamic-rooted AKP can extend their rule into a 3rd decade, they will also decide how Turkey is governed, where the economy is headed, and how the country's international relations with allies and partners, particularly in the West, are going to look like.
Now, Julia, you touched on a few of the issues there. Of course, the voters have plenty of issues that I'm sure that they want dealt with. You've been speaking to people. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the most pressing issues or the ones that stood out for you were?
Well, from the ailing economy and the cost of living crisis to democratic rights, the rule of law, migration policies, there is actually a wide range of issues at stake. But many problems here in the country have been exacerbated by the devastating earthquakes in southeastern Turkey in February, which have killed more than 50,000 people and devastated entire towns and cities. President Erdogan's government faced blistering criticism of their handling, of their bad handling of this crisis. And now one of the main election promises of President Erdogan is, as he phrases it, to heal the wounds of the people and to rebuild the region. He has promised hundreds of thousands of new homes within just 1 year. And among his supporters, he's certainly seen as a man of action, as somebody who can get this job done. But we just got back from Adıyaman, one of the provinces worst hit by the quakes, actually a stronghold of the president and his AKP. And I've been asking people there what they think. Are they actually believing in this promise? Here is what they told me.
How can you build that many houses in just 1 year? We can't even clear the rubble in a year. Anyone can come and see that 60% of the rubble is still piling up here in Adıyaman. We have to believe in our president. I hope he'll do it. There's no other solution. Everyone is staying in tents. Everyone's psychology is broken. We'll definitely rebuild this place. We'll probably have to do it ourselves. The government isn't doing anything.
They say they will do it, but we don't believe it. It will take at least 2 to 3 years to build those houses. What are we going to do until then? Are we going to live in tents all that time?
So plenty of despair there weeks after the earthquakes, Julia. So tell us, what's the opposition's plan to beat President Erdogan in the elections?
Well, this time, actually, Erdogan faces an unusually united opposition. 6 opposition parties, ranging in ideology from social democratic to right-wing secular to Islamist, have gathered behind one single candidate, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu, and among the challengers in the presidential race, he is seen as the one with the best chances to beat President Erdogan. Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu is a 74-year-old former bureaucrat, someone who is considered to lack charisma but has a reputation of integrity. And according to recent polls, it's going to be a tough contest. Some polls even see Mr. Kılıçdaroğlu ahead of Mr. Erdogan. Now, the opposition bloc he stands for, the so-called Nation Alliance, woes to end one-man rule in Turkey and restore Turkish democracy. They have, as I mentioned, very diverse interests, but they are united by one common goal, and this is to oust Erdogan. But then again, this is Turkey, and a lot can happen in the coming weeks leading up to this historic election. If no candidate gets at least 50% of the vote in the first round, there is going to be a second round, a runoff between the 2 top candidates at the end of May.
And we'll be keeping an eye on it. DW's Julia Hahn in Istanbul. Thank you.